It's your boy DJ Wolf. Running around here in this crazy traffic out here in DC. Getting back to the allergy season again. After the rain finally subsided after 2 days of straight rain. Well, actually 2 or 3 days. About 3 days of straight rain. Anyway, got a couple things on my mind. First item for beds. There was another airplane involved incident. This time, a passenger had to go to the bathroom. It was on a Delta flight. I forgot where it was leaving for and where it was coming from. But anyway, it hadn't left the ground. Okay, the flight was being delayed, and my understanding was being delayed for up to about 30 minutes or more. So the guy waited. They told him they were getting ready to take off, I think between now and 30 minutes from now, something like that at the time. And the guy, he waited for a few minutes, and then he got to a point where he couldn't wait anymore. But the flight attendants insisted that passenger stay seated until they got ready to get to wherever the route that they had to go to from the lane they had to get in to take off. In any case, that's what was reported. But what was also reported in this report, he said he couldn't take it anymore. He had to go to the bathroom. All right. Witnesses that was on the plane, that's according to the local Channel 4 report, had said that that the plane itself still hadn't moved around the runway to its wherever it was going to take off from. And he went in. When he got out, before they actually got ready to take off, they threatened to pull him off the plane. I think they did. And there were people who was on there, several people who had video cameras on there who were eyewitness to what happened, and said that he was really being harassed for no reason. He was a black guy, by the way. And this was on Delta. So I don't know what's going on with these people on the plane. I almost had an experience like that many years ago on Southwest. My son and I was actually heading to Cleveland on Southwest, and I think it was from BWI. Yeah, it was from BWI, and they were saying, handicapped people going first, then people with children. My son was under 13 at the time, and so I got ready going in, and they told us no. You had to wait. I said, whoa, this is my son. Or you still got to wait? Like, really? I'm about to pop off. I don't mean pop off. I'm about to go off him because, I kind of felt like, wait a minute. You guys did say people with kids, and my son was under 13. He was still a kid. And it was like, yeah. And I thought that was kind of harassment, but I said, you know what? I'm going to let it go because I need to get on this plane. I don't want him trying to act stupid with me. And then there was a couple of times when I was flying out of Cleveland, for some reason, and this was happening about 2 or 3 years in a row. Every time I would fly out of Cleveland, they were not only would they, they would stop you. Like what they would do a spot check on certain people who they thought was, people who they thought might start a bunch of mess on the plane. And I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of person at all. I'm a very peaceful, loving person, especially when I'm riding something that I ain't controlling. But anyway, and they will stop me, and not only would they stop, would go beyond the usual, when you put your stuff in the belt for them to check everything out and all that. And some reason they just picked me out of a lineup, and they would do comprehensive searches beyond what they normally would do when they would put you through the machine. Now, one time I did get stopped in the metal detector, because everybody had to pass through that at the airport, and they kept detecting something on me that was metal. You know what it was? It was gum wrapping paper. After about 10 minutes trying to figure it out, it was inside my wallet. I didn't realize that. So, but there were 2 other times they just stopped me and did the same thing. You had to go through this other machine. I forgot what it was. and they did a full body search 2 other times for that, So I'm like, what the fuck? It was just the weirdest thing, and I saw him do that with a couple other people during those 3 times I went, and guess what? None of them were white. Not one person. Not one person. So that don't surprise me. Also, that leads to my other subject. I kind of feel like, and this is me. I don't care what anybody say, but this is my personal take on this. I personally feel that as an African American man, a proud African American man, okay, who at one time didn't like myself when I was growing up as a young child. It's a long story, but I love myself. I love me some me. Let's put it like that. And I went through an issue where I didn't want to be black. But I was young. I was very young. I was about 8, 9 years old. And I was just really removed a few years from dealing with the mess up that was going on during the 60s when I was very young. Very, very young. And learning about that right around 1970, 71 when they first started showing video and film footage of stuff that was going on during the 60s. And my folks used to put me in front of TV and make me watch it when I was like 6, 7 years old. And this was basically just removed from after all that stuff was going on around 1971. So that wasn't very long after that all of that was going on in the 60s. So it was kind of, they wanted to put it fresh in my mind. And it was very fresh because it hadn't too long happened. So I was a child, I was born in 64, so, it was very impressionable to me. Then I saw all that going on, and I kind of felt personally, I was like, wow, if I gotta go through that, I don't want to grow up to be black. And that's how I felt for a little time, And then a teacher, my 3rd grade teacher named Miss Myridge, she was really one of the sweetest teachers I think I've ever had. And she had a genuine, pure-hearted understanding of what I was dealing with as a young black child. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget her, period. Kind of made me well up a little bit, for real, in my eyes. And because I thought about that. Because she made me, her and a friend of hers who was like an assistant to her in my classroom. I think her name was Miss Judy, I think. Beautiful woman. Anyway, but they made me realize that being black wasn't as bad as I thought it would be as a kid. It's just who I was. It wasn't about me. It was trying to let me know it wasn't about my color that was bad. It's just the people who in this world, who live in the world that I live in, were bad and just thought of me as being something less than them. It's a valuable lesson. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I mean that. And it really did teach me a valuable lesson, especially during that period that just happened. We talking about the very early 70s, okay? And that was a primary time to teach kids about that. James Brown, just a few years earlier, had just recorded Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. And I was around about 4 years, it came out the summer of 68, so I was about almost 4 years old when I heard it. And when I heard it at 3.5 years old, I was singing the hell out of that song. So, and I thank God for James Brown, too. James Brown may have been a lot of things to a lot of people, but he was a strong, proud brother. And he didn't let his influence from how he was raised deter him from greatness. I can honestly say that. I read his biography. Brilliant biography. If you hadn't read that book, I highly recommend you read The Life and Times of James Brown. Great book. I think that's the name of it. But anyway, but what I'm saying is, your environment doesn't have to define you. You define yourself from the ashes of where you came from. Like that's when I was in Cleveland, and I thought the same thing. I thought about where I came from and the things I had to deal with, the BS I had to endure living at home for 21 years. I didn't let that define who I was. It's like a story well, actually I hadn't posted yet, but I'm going to. I might talk about it now. This young man who graduated from college, he shared his story on Twitter, I think, and it actually went viral. And I wish I got to try to look that up, because I want to post on my channel. Matter of fact, I want to post it on this channel and on Twitter and Facebook. And he told a story about how his stepfather was putting him down, saying he would never do this and do that. Now he graduated with a bachelor's. Which I respect that young brother for doing this thing, because he did not let his environment, or him being, because he was a product of his environment, control who he was as a person. I respect him for that very, 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 very much. And that's the way I felt growing up. I knew at some point I had to do what I had to do for me. It could have consumed me. It could have been to a point where I was so messed up, I could have just said the hell with everything, and went on a tangent, but I didn't. Thank God that there were people around me, and I had good friends at the time, and some good family members and relatives that I could actually count on and talk to and get through things, get through life, and understand what life should really mean to me, and therefore it enabled me to do better things. It enabled me to take the courage to take that leap of faith and go outside my world, which was my city of Cleveland, and explore and try to make something of myself. But nevertheless, even in 2017, you still got people that are out here trying to make you feel lower than low. Still. So I just want to tell y'all young people today, don't let your environment control you. Make something out of yourself. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything in life in terms of doing something for yourself. You can make something of yourself. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. Oh my God, these people cannot drive. They ran through a ditch. But anyway, that's kind of what I want to say. I have more to say, but right now I'm trying to get the rehearsal and all that. So, all right, this DJ Wolf. I really do have more to say about stuff like this on the back burner. I thought, what is with these people doing tonight? I'll talk to you guys later.